Hello my friends, and welcome back to another watercolor tutorial. Today we are painting a fairly simple fall inspired painting, and it's just basically 3 pumpkins stacked on one another, so this would make a great greeting card for Thanksgiving, or just a simple painting to put on your wall, or just something simple to paint if you're in the fall mood. So the first color, I wouldn't even bother penciling this out, by the way, because it's fairly simple, but you're more than welcome to if that's what you're more comfortable with. So I want to pick up like a creamish tan color. So I don't have the color I'm looking for, so I'm mixing tan with cream and then brightening it with white. But you just want it to be a nice bright color, like a nude, if you will. And sorry, just thinking about this now, it would be easier to paint the middle pumpkin first, because then you have a reference for what's in the middle. So our middle pumpkin is going to be like the classic brighter orange color. So that's what you want to pick up. And the way that you can use whatever technique you want to paint these pumpkins, but this is supposed to be very simple, very quick. This is about the middle of my piece of paper in portrait position. Just keep in mind you have to paint the little stalk that comes off of it. So just paint this elongated oval in the center first. And then you're going to paint basically these half moon shapes that extend out from it, just being sure to leave a little bit of a white gap in between each one. And you can make them as wide as you wish. I think I might actually make my pumpkin a little bit longer because it's very flat at the moment. It's okay if it's not like the line is invisible all the way through. You just kind of want to give a rough what's the word I'm looking for? Indication of where the grooves of your pumpkin are. So you can make the bottom, these outer ones, a little bit longer than the middle one, the sections, I mean, if you want to make it look a little bit more rounded. Because as I'm looking at this now, mine does not look very rounded. I'm overcomplicating this at this point, which was not the goal. And my pumpkin is definitely not in the middle. So if you want to make sure that yours are in the middle, just like sketch it out. Sketch like a rough circle or point for yourself. I think I'll just end up cutting this to make it center, but I'm just putting that out there. So before this has a chance to dry, I'm just gonna go over the top of it because it might be drying on me. I'm gonna switch brushes so that I don't have to rinse my brush. I'm gonna pick up some brown watercolor and I'm going to mix it with a tiny bit of black just to darken it a tad. And then you can go ahead and add I ask this, I think, almost every year in tutorials where I paint where I paint pumpkins. I don't know what that thing is called. The stalk, the rind. I'm just realizing now that I want the tops of my half moon shapes to be a little more rounded and sticking out to give it a bit more character, but also because I want the rind to connect to all of them like this. And then something like this, and then you can have the little viney thing that comes off of it. The viney thing, the vine that comes off of it. No, actually, I think the actual name for this is tendrils, I think. And the only reason I am slightly confident that that is the case is because I successfully grew a watermelon in my garden this year. And I was trying to figure out how to know when it's ready to harvest. And a pumpkin and a watermelon, I'm assuming they're all in the squash family. And yeah, someone said it's when the tendrils are dried up and yellow or brown. And these things look an awful lot like tendrils to me. But if you're a gourd expert, then let me know if you're like, you are misleading the public. I'm just adding these little details coming from the side because I like the look of it. Okay, I'm happy with this pumpkin. As I start adding more details, sorry, I decided that I was gonna add a little bit on the bottom as well. You can make this as simple or as complicated as you wish. As you can see, I tend to make things on the more complicated side because I just see an opportunity. And I'm like, if I can make this look better with very little effort, why on earth wouldn't I? Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the next pumpkin. So my next pumpkin, I'm gonna do the top one first with that original color. So it's like a nude color. I don't know how I feel about this color because I'm not sure if it's gonna show up very nice. Instead of doing them like stacked perfectly on top of one another, I think I'm just gonna go like boom, boom, boom. So same thing where the you paint the center oval first, or whatever you want to call that. And then you have 2 half moons coming off of it. I am probably going to have to darken this because it's even hard for me to see. As I'm painting this now. This one's a little bit bigger than that one, which doesn't look very proportional. I'm not a fan of how that turned out, but I mean, I can't do anything about that now. So what I will do is add a little bit of brown hue to this pumpkin, because it was looking a little not dark enough to see properly, in my opinion. But it might just be the way that my light is shining onto this painting. So I'm going to take the same brown with a little bit of black mixed in, and plop that on in the same way. So kind of like that. So the rind, you can make it as tall and as twisty. Like, try not to make it look like this perfect rectangle, because then it won't look realistic. Keep that in mind when you're painting it. And I think those tendrils, if that's what they're called, really make this look awesome. But what I found with these tendrils is that you really have to try and make them look very twisty and not perfectly angled. I don't know how else to describe that. You see how like it kind of did a curve and then went up, down, and then to the side. Make it as zigzaggy, for lack of a better word, as you can. That, in my opinion, makes it look a lot better. I mixed this original color with some of the brown, and I'm gonna do what I did with that bottom pumpkin. Okay. So with the last pumpkin, this can be, I'm gonna go with like a darker orangey, maybe almost maroon colored pumpkin for this one. Maybe I'll even mix some brown into it, and orange as well. Sorry, it's just taking me a moment to mix my color, because I do want it to be darker than this one, but this ended up being much darker than I was anticipating. And I don't want to, like, I want to get the color right the first time, because I don't want to do multiple layers. I just like how this is a one layer thing. So I'll have the other one over here. So we're doing the exact same steps that we did with these first two. And I think I got the color right, but we'll see when it dries, because when watercolor dries, it's deceiving. It turns into a different color, which is not always something I'm happy with. I think my toddler put herself to bed. So it was nap time. She's a very, very good sleeper. Like for bedtime, when we put her to bed and she falls asleep, she sleeps she sleeps through the night. And even the last 2 weeks, she's been letting us sleep until 8:40, which is insane. That's crazy. So she'll wake up at like 6:30, 7:30, and just lay there waiting for us until we come get her without crying. Whereas before, the moment she woke up, the moment she opened her eyes, she would start crying. So we had 6:30 wake up calls. That was kind of the normal. But yeah, I don't know what the heck changed. There was like a few weird days where she was acting very strange and not herself. And then this started happening. So some interesting developmental leaps. But anyway, naps, she's never been good at falling asleep for naps. Like lately, I've been having to sit there for sometimes up to an hour holding her hand until she falls asleep. Today I was like, you know what? I had already been sitting there for 15 minutes. And when my husband puts her down for a nap, he always says to her, if she's like not going down, she's like playing with her bear or talking to herself or whatever, he'll say, okay, I'll come back in 5 minutes, okay? Like settle yourself, get your bear ready for bed, and I'll come back in 5 minutes. And that always works for him, because like he'll come back and she'll go down fairly quickly after that. Whereas for me, it does not work. Like she will just take the same amount of time to fall asleep. But this time I sat there for 15 minutes already. She wasn't looking like she was going down anytime soon. So I said the same thing, even though I've tried it a million times. I was like, I'll be back in 5 minutes, settle yourself. And she just, instead of crying this time, she didn't, and was just sort of talking to her bear. And it's now been, what time is it? It's been 25 minutes, and about 4 minutes ago, I stopped hearing her talking to her bear. So I wonder if she fell asleep. That would be pretty awesome. Because that's 30 minutes that I would have been sitting there just waiting for her to fall asleep. And here I am, I've almost finished a tutorial. Okay. So we've done the same thing that we've done with the other ones here. I am just going to add the tendrils there, of course. I really like painting those. They look so intentional. Okay, I wish my spacing was a little bit better between pumpkins, between the pumpkins, but it is what it is. Now, depending on what you make this, you can just stop here, or you can add a word. You could have placed your pumpkins slightly differently, maybe at an angle so that you could write Happy Thanksgiving or gather or whatever inspirational thing you want to add to this. I'm tempted to add a little bit of splatter to it. I'm honestly always nervous to do that because sometimes it does not end up looking how I wanted it to. Often, actually, it does not end up looking how I wanted it to. I'm gonna take a tan as well. To make it mystical. And I'm a little bit tempted, this is just my imagination going out of control, but I'm tempted to put like the side of a pumpkin here with a huge tendril curl coming up, but I think that would be too much. If anything, I could just add the curl on the side without the pumpkin visible, and then one here as well. Let's try that. I might regret this, but sometimes these things look really good. So something like that. Maybe it doesn't make much sense if it's not attached to a pumpkin. I don't know if I should have done that. I'm gonna stop it there. I don't know how I feel about that. Let me know what you guys think about that. That might just look like my toddler accidentally drew on it. I would be actually very impressed if she did that, because right now the drawing is not quite there yet. But let me know what you guys thought about this one. Let me know if you're going to be using it as a holiday card or if you're going to just paint it for fun. But comment down below and hit like, subscribe, check out my Patreon, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.